Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdates 221210.4. On the 10th day of Moistmas, my whole crew gave to me a stiletto and a hacksaw blade. I may stick that blade on the heel and insert it in a few NPC crew members for science. Welcome everyone to the exhibition of stupid people. I know, 2 in 1 week, but I had loads of sauces left over for the last one and I thought, this stuff's still good. So we are going to start with the hipster IPA company BrewDog. We've spoken about them before because of their untoward actions towards employees, which led to a bit of a cancellation, exodus of employees as well, how they were fired. It wasn't a good look for them. Turns out, the people that run the place are dickheads. Big shocker. They've also been done before for false advertising by the Advertisers Standards Agency, the ASA. You'd think with that, they would have learnt their lesson with this. Turns out, no. Now, we in the UK have very strict rules on advertising. If you mislead in any way or you don't outright state what it is you are doing, selling what you can and cannot achieve with the product you are promoting, you are false advertising. That in turn sets you up to be fined, sanctioned, or worse, taken to court, where you will then receive the first and second punishment together and possibly be banned from promoting your product as a third punishment. There are others of course, but no one is dumb enough to go that far. BrewDog though, seemed to be of the opinion, the mind, that perhaps these little tongue-in-cheek remarks, which is what we're about to talk about, can get away with these little jokes, because they are jokes, I will fully concede it. However, UK rules are very strict on this. I have no doubt in other nations you may well be able to get away with such behaviour. In the United Kingdom, no. So in a recent advert, BrewDog had claimed that their fruit-flavoured beers counted as one of your 5 a day. If you don't know what one of your 5 a day means, one of your 5 a day fruit and or veg. To have a healthier body, this is what you are recommended to consume. In my case, it was 5 Oreos. That totally counts. I highly recommend it as a specialist nutritionalist. Mine were drizzled in chocolate. My specialty in nutrition is I am a chocoholic. Hi, how are you? What makes BrewDog quite amusing is that they regularly court controversy with their campaigns, but not all of them are successful. For example, they were heavily criticised last month for launching an anti-sponsorship World Cup campaign, all the while continuing to show the matches at its bars. The ASA have said that many consumers would not have known that for sure about the 5 a day thing does not include alcoholic beverages, when BrewDog sent them a marketing email in July with the 5 a day claim in the subject line. BrewDog have argued that the email was only sent to existing customers who had opted into email alerts and would have been aware of its playful marketing style. The main issue BrewDog has is they keep on doing this and keep on getting into trouble, but they keep on doing it anyway. The definition of, is it insanity or stupidity, is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And yet you keep on doing it. While I think this stuff's hilarious and it should be allowed because it's funny, I'm also aware that it is an advertisement to your customers and to potential customers who've opted into these email alerts. At the same time, it's inaccurate, which means it is a breach of the ASA guidelines and government guidance of which has existed, well, longer than BrewDog. BrewDog have accepted the ruling of the ASA and said, we respect the Advertising Standards Authority's decision and are happy to confirm that beer is not a fruit or a vegetable. We hope that sorts it out. To be honest, when you go down to the biological aspect of an argument concerning what is in a beer, well, beers are derived from hops. Hops are the flowers of the hop plant, Humulus lupulus, which is a vegetable. And I know I said beers, but this includes IPAs, which are traditionally brewed in English malt, hops, and yeast. So about that one of your 5 a day, can we renegotiate? So next I want to talk about a Have a Go hero. I saw this via the Daily Mail, but thankfully there are follow-up articles from elsewhere. This Have a Go hero ran 2 burglars off the road. The 2 burglars are called Taylor Benford and Ryan Paul. What had happened was they had tried to break into the home of Adam White, who had advertised a motorbike for sale online. These two men had posed as buyers for the motorbike. Adam had seen them, the two masked men, attempting to break into the family's garage. He then chased them from the property in his Mercedes 4x4, where he then knocked them off the bike, which I'm sure one or two are going to say, "Oh, he was a bit excessive." I'm going to say was the right thing to do. The bike was his. After the crash, the pair were taken to hospital and asked to voluntarily attend interviews at the police station. Interestingly, they were stopped by police in a stop and search of a car sporting their injuries. Benford was later fined for driving without a license or insurance while equipped for theft. When Adam spoke to the police, he had told them that he'd lost control of the vehicle when going around a bend. He was arrested on suspicion of GBH. While Benford and Paul gave no comment interviews at the time, Adam White gave his version of events to the police. After the arrest, he had to spend £50,000 on legal fees, take out loans and credit cards to pay for the case, as well as use his life savings. It gets worse though. You see, the police escalated this. They really did. They escalated this, seemingly taking the side of the burglars. Because of fears that Adam White was going to go to prison, yeah, right, this is legit where it was going, Adam's wife, Lindsay, had to terminate, I say had to, a pregnancy, over fears that if he went to prison, it would be difficult to raise the baby alone while also dealing with the mountains of debt that had been accrued dealing with this problem. Adam's story was told on a TV show called 24 Hours in Police Custody. Many of those that watched the show were livid. They were livid because this seemed like an injustice. He was found guilty, by the way, Adam White, and he was sentenced to 22 months in prison. Taylor Benford and Ryan Paul pled guilty to the attempted burglary at the home. You say attempted, he actually did. The judge said that Adam should not have taken the law into his own hands, and that was justification to sentencing him to almost 2 years in prison. I think I speak for the majority when I say, give him his shit back and he won't run someone off the road. Simple as that, really. In the case of Benford and Paul, their sentences were suspended along with 200 hours of community service. Since the program aired, Adam White and his wife have seen an outpouring of support from members of the public, with their GoFundMe raising over £150,000 in less than a week. This led to a petition. Over 75,000 people have signed it, simply titled Justice for Adam White. In the context of what has happened, even with all the evidence you have seen, I fully support Adam White in this. The career criminals got a slap on the wrist, but the person defending his property, the person who was reclaiming his property, got sentenced to 2 years, almost. That to me is an injustice. An additional lol-worthy moment is the duo are now suing, or trying to sue, Adam White, alleging up to £1 million because of their injuries. I think you should just be grateful you can walk. Perhaps find a profession you are good at, because you sucked at this one, didn't you? And I get the UK criminal justice system needs to apply the law fairly and evenly, but if this case has taught us anything, it is, apparently, you don't, you wankers! Of late there has been much in the way of discussion concerning Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, and I have covered a lot of it on this channel. In my mind, Meghan Markle was allowed, permitted, treated with respect, dignity by the British public. Yes, things behind closed doors did not go the way she wanted, but she was given a fair chance by the British people and by the media in this country. In fact, when she and Harry announced they're having a kid, there was much in the way of celebration because of a mixed-race child in the royal family, as opposed to an inbred one, quite a rare treat. I mention this because I've had a recent Twitter interaction with people who are very much on the side of, yes, I love Harry and Meghan. Like everything in the Netflix documentaries amazeballs, even though it's one side of a story and only told from one perspective, which is incredibly biased and skewed. What's interesting to me is the trailers for those included videos that were fake footage used to sensationalize the show itself, something which apparently Netflix bosses are furious about. Some of them were taken from a Harry Potter film premiere and of Katie Price, the big-breasted bimbo who owns the Mucky Mansion, arriving at a courthouse. This in turn is what was used to promote this documentary, something that was pushed back because of the Queen passing away. 100% respectful, I will agree. It's just a shame that they couldn't seem to bite their tongue any longer. Footage seen so far seem to indicate that apparently the idea of Meghan having to bow before the Queen, or curtsy, was a novel idea because the attention wasn't on her for a change. Here's the thing, in the United Kingdom, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who wouldn't say it if she had told you to bow. Even if you're anti-royal, I promise you, the Queen had that presence. Granted, she never really exerted that kind of pressure on people. She was much more known for her comedy. Concerning the trailer and the fake footage, it is believed that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, please give back those titles, would have been more aware than anyone what footage was real and could have highlighted it as misleading. One photo also in that was apparently of Harry fronting up to the press. It was taken when he was with his former girlfriend Chelsea Davy, who was cropped out of the photo. Netflix apparently also had expected that the couple would scrutinise and flag anything that would cause problems. This only comes mere months after Netflix had been accused of exaggerating and fabricating royal stories in the form of The Crown. I guess it doesn't really matter too much since the documentary itself isn't bound by the same Ofcom regulations to ensure accuracy. Even though this is meant to be factual, it can't be because the royal family themselves were not asked to contribute their side of events. Not that they would, because it turns out they're above it. One of the claims from the documentary early on is that the royal family didn't understand the need to protect Meghan from press harassment. This is what Prince Harry latches onto all the time. He latches onto this at every moment. It's his go-to, his one-dimensional play. Everything is about the journalists while he is busy making documentaries that he then has to promote. Promoting shitting on his own family. And when the chance arose to simply find a path forward together, he chose Munri and his wife, of course. I understand that fully. No doubt, for a change, she'll let him have sex with her, as opposed to the other way round. Now, as far as the show goes, we've only got 3 episodes so far of the 6-part series, simply titled Harry and Meghan. It'll be very interesting to see what points are accurate and which are not, much of which can be debunked. Hell, the Oprah interview itself was debunked by so many people because of so many false narratives and false arguments presented by Harry and Meghan. For someone so desperate to not have journalists in his life, it's somewhat ironic that he needs them to maintain his relevancy, and that he will use them when it suits him. He claims his wife wasn't protected. That's your job, bitch. The only other thing of note that we should quickly address is the argument about whether or not Prince Harry, in some photos seen together with his wife, was playing a guitar chord or not. Some argue it is fake, others arguing it is an unconventional chord, some believing it is a form of jazz voicing, complex jazz voicing. I tried to play it and I agree with the Metro, where it comes across as a mangled collection of notes and can be considered quite appalling. Please stop doing that if that is what you are doing with your micro guitar. Get a real one and start playing it, and death to all but metal.